We already talked about Reuben, unstable as water. All right. Verse 5, Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are they in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they hamstrung oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. All right, the reason why he says Levi and Simeon are brethren, they're all brethren. They're all brethren. Everybody's here, but the reason they say that because Simeon and Levi are really close in age. Leah had Reuben, then she had Simeon, and then she had Levi, and they're close in age, and presumably they were very close, and they had the same type of personalities: angry, vicious, violent.
Dinah's brothers.
Yeah. She had 4 brothers.
Right.
Well, 5 brothers, but these 2. At this point, and it's interesting, when they did this thing at Shechem, which we'll go through, they were only like between 12 and 14 years of age.
What?
They were, people were a lot more mature in those days, but that kind of violence and stuff. And when
Genesis 49, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Genesis 49, 5 through 7. And this is 40, okay, so this, the Shechem thing, which we're going to go over, happened 40 to 50 years ago. And at that time, Jacob made a little stir, but he was just like he was about Reuben. It's just kind of, it happened, let's move on. He didn't, when he found out about what had happened to Dinah, he waited until the boys came in from the field, and then he kind of let them take it over. And the only thing that he commented on was afterwards, and he said, you made us bad with all the people around here, and they could kill us all. How could you do this? And that was kind of the end of it. Until 40 to 50 years later. So anyway, and Genesis, go back to Genesis 29:33, because now we're talking about the birth of Simeon and Levi. Genesis 29:33. Okay, 29:33. And she conceived again, we're talking Leah, and bore a son, and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And Simeon means heard. And that's what she said. It's a Hebrew word to hear. And so she said, the Lord heard me, and so now Jacob's going to love me. She
tries.
And she kept trying. She kept trying. I'm telling you. He was a pig in my. He hated her, but he was going into her all the time and getting her pregnant. Right. So then we had Simeon, and she conceived again and bore a son, and said, now this time will my husband become attached unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. So Levi means joined or attached. So that was Genesis 33. Simeon was to hear. 34, Levi meant joined or attached, and they grew up close together. And I think that stuff that I've read about all this, they kind of thought that Reuben was a wolf, a punk, because he wasn't involved. Well, there's differing opinions on that. He wasn't involved in this thing about going and killing everybody in Shechem, and so maybe they, so. They grew up close together in age and interests, and both seemed to be hot-tempered and hot-headed, and thought Reuben was a wimp, and maybe because of the mandrake thing when he came to Leah with the mandrakes, and Mom, here you are, so who knows. So they were true brothers in their outlook and interests. And so the thing that Jacob is talking about when he curses them is found in Genesis 34, 1 to 31. Genesis 34, 1 to 31. I'm not going to read all of it because we kind of went over this before too if you were in my homework. But here, so Dinah, and this is interesting too. Okay, so Dinah's probably about 12. If the boys are 13, 14, she's got to be at least 12 or something. But she was marriageable age, presumably. So she goes to see about what's going on in Shechem because remember, Jacob met up with Esau and he said, I'll come and see you wherever he's going. And he lied. So he went then to Shur and then to Shechem. He never went to where Esau was. And it's unclear why he didn't do that because they made peace. And they could have been friends from that point forward. But he didn't. He went to Shur and then he went to Shechem. And Shechem is a heathen place. Jacob just has some issues, I think. So anyway, she goes out because she wants to see the people, the new people, and all the girls and stuff, which is interesting. You have so many brothers. You couldn't send one of your brothers with you as you're going to see the people, the land, to protect them, I guess. So she goes, and Shechem, who's the prince of Shechem, named after the town, or the town's named after him, saw her, wanted her, raped her, and kept her at his house because she didn't escape until after all this carnage happened. And it's unclear too that have you ever heard of the book The Red Tent?
Yes.
It's the story, and the story of that is that Shechem's mother took Dinah and they took off because she loved Shechem supposedly, and so they wanted to get away from Jacob and all that crowd. So it's just fiction, but still it's kind of interesting, although they have kind of naughty stuff in it. So I read it a long time ago.
The Red Tent?
The Red Tent. It's Anita something wrote it. I can't remember. It's interesting. So anyway, they find out. Jacob first finds out what has happened, and I don't know whether they had runners from Shechem to where Jacob is, because they weren't in Shechem, they were outside with all the animals and stuff, and told him, and he didn't do anything. And I wonder what's going on with Dinah during all this, happening, just laying in the bed wondering what's going to happen next. So anyway, so the boys come in, and Simeon and Levi just go nuts, what is our daughter, our sister, a harlot, blah, blah, blah. So this is when Shechem tells his dad, that's not his name, Hamor, that he wants to he really loves her, and he wants her as his wife, which is interesting, unlike what happened with David's daughter and her brother. But anyway, he loves her. He wants him as his wife. And he's kind of demanding. Okay. Hamor is the son of Shechem, and he gets it. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they came. And in verse 4, this is Shechem, how he talks to his father. Spoken to his father. Hamor saying, "Get me this damsel for my wife." Kind of a spoiled brat, you think. So he and Shechem went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field, and when they heard it, and Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her to me as wife. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you." And some of the commentaries say that the brutality that Levi and Simeon did saved the covenant people of Jacob, because if they had intermarried like that, the covenant would have been gone. They wouldn't have been their own people anymore. But in my opinion, that was never the plan. They were just saying that to deceive him. So, and some of the commentaries said that all the brothers went to Shechem and to Hamor and talked to him to deceive him. Not all the brothers apparently did the killing, but they went and did the deceit, and then afterwards they went and helped plunder the city. Nowhere did it say anybody but Simeon and Levi killed everybody, but that the brothers helped deceive them and show them, we'll intermarry with you. and everything, and then plundered the city. Another interesting fact that, and these are all extra biblical, so you just have to kind of go, okay, is it that it was a very small city, the Shechem. You hear like, I always think two 13 and 14-year-olds killed a whole city of men,
Right.
but they said that one of the commentaries said that it was a very small city. There was probably only about a total of 100 people, women, children, and men. So maybe they only killed about 40 or 50 only. So anyway, so they said, okay, we'll intermarry with you. Simeon and Levi, and maybe all the rest of the brothers said, we'll intermarry with you, but you have to, well, not unless you're circumcised. And they said, okay, we'll do that, because apparently they thought that the Jacob and his family would bring him some wealth. Let me see. And their words. And Hamor and Shechem his son came into the gate of the city and spoke with the men of their city, saying about Jacob and his boys, these men are peaceable with us. Oh yeah, this is coming. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein, for the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. And only herein will the men consent with us to dwell with us. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. So part of the reasoning, supposedly, that they thought they were going to get money if they hooked up with Jacob and his sons. And at one point, too, which I never saw this extra in the Bible, Simeon or Levi supposedly said, that Shechem went around saying that Dinah was a harlot. But that's nowhere in here. That was just, because the Jewish commentaries about all this, a lot of them say they were justified. Doesn't matter if they brutally killed all those men, and also, like, the oxen, they couldn't take the oxen apparently, so they cut the backs of their legs, so they were brutal to the animals as well as to the people. And so, but a lot of the Jewish commentaries say that they were justified because Shechem did not have justice rule, and that was supposedly one of the things that had to be. I got to find it. It's a word I can't pronounce very well. The law, that they should have law that has justice, and because they didn't have any law, and Shechem should have had some punishment for what he did to Dinah. There wasn't any punishment. Nobody seemed to think that he should have been punished, and that was one of the reasons that the Jewish commentaries say that Simeon and Levi were justified in what they did, and that God and Jacob approved of what they did, not of how they did it, but what they did. Not from what Jacob's saying in his deathbed.
Well, in
Yeah.
those days was an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. It was.
Right. It was more brutal.
Yeah.
But that's not, Jacob didn't say that at the end. Of course, he didn't say anything at the beginning much either, and so anyway, so they go in, the third day when they all get circumcised. And that's another interesting, who was doing the circumcision, each other, whatever. And, but on the third day, they were so sore, and then Simeon and Levi went in and killed all the men. Genocide, it was genocide. They killed all the men, and then took the women and children as slaves, and everything else that they could plunder. They took everything. Oh, man. And
I don't see that, because God okaying that.
well,
It was those days.
Okay, so they come back after all this devastation, and apparently maybe the other brothers were with them, and they get all this plunder and stuff and bring them. And Jacob's response is, and Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have troubled me to make me odious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed and my house.
Where's that at?
And 30.
Oh.
34, verse 30. So that's Jacob's response. You made me odious, there doesn't seem to be any moral outrage of what they've done. It's just that the consequences to,
consequences for
right,
the action.
consequences and to his family, but to me, the consequences, put a tighter leash on your boys, dude. And
But obviously he can't, he didn't,
Right.
he set up his own.
so, no remorse. Boys have no remorse. They think they're totally just, at 13 and 14, such arrogance. Their response is, and they said, should he deal with our sister as with the harlot? No remorse, not, well, maybe we shouldn't have been so bold. No, he did that, he got what he
A little
deserves.
bit like the young people today that are out there killing people.
That's what she said.
There's no remorse, there's
Right.
no consciousness.
That's what Diana said.
Right.
That's
And-
monster.
And you never hear about Dinah again. Don't know
That's
what
it.
happened. Like with Absalom's sister, which I can't even think of her name now, that got it from her brother. She went and lived with Absalom, well, until Absalom went off with the charts and stuff. All right, so back to Genesis 49. Go back to Genesis 49:7, which is still part of what Jacob's saying to Simeon and Levi, what's going to happen, and the prophecy. And all these prophecies come true. It's amazing. The Holy Spirit came upon Jacob as he's talking to his sons. And all these prophecies that he talked about his sons come true. And there's a little different twist on this one, but we'll go into that in a minute. So 49:7, this is what Jacob says is going to happen to Simeon and Levi. 49:7, cursed be the anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Isn't it interesting how in the same paragraph, whatever, he uses himself as Jacob and Israel. He does that all the time. And what this means, I will divide them. Neither one of these tribes got their own land. Levi was because they became the priest, and there's a whole long story that we'll go into about that. And Simeon, just because of his behavior. And part of the thing was they had to be separated because they seemed to like fire each other up so much. And the fear was if they stayed together, like when they got into the Canaan, that they might be a constant problem with all the rest of the tribes, that there would always be some uprising that if they were together, Levi and Simeon would cause. So in the end, Simeon got land. Go look at your map. If you brought your maps? The Simeon did not get his own. The tribe did not get his own land. They're inside of Judah. They had certain towns all inside of Judah because Judah had a big piece, not as big as Manasseh. Manasseh got the biggest piece. And the thing too is Simeon, where his land is, it's in the Negev. It's a desert. They got a desert.
So what did Simeon get?
Inside of Judah.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's the desert. It's in the Negev. Negrev. That's what they got for what they did. And
Levi,
huh?
we got for the crowd?
Negev. Not Levi. Simeon.
Simeon. What did Levi get?
Levi got cities. He didn't get any land, they got cities. He got 48 cities. And also some of the commentaries say that the Simeonites became traveling scholars. They had nothing better to do, so they became traveling scholars and dispersed themselves among the various tribes to teach the law and stuff. All right. Okay, so we have what Jacob did in Genesis. Moses does, we talked about this last week, in Deuteronomy. Go to Deuteronomy 33. This is right before Moses dies and they're going into the promised land. And Moses goes through the whole thing again about talking about the tribes. So Deuteronomy 33. He talks about all the different tribes, and he doesn't even mention Simeon. That's a red flag. And Moses's talk about all the tribes, he doesn't even mention Simeon. Simeon's on the downside, even at this point, even before they get into the Canaan. Deuteronomy 33.
33.
And then in Deuteronomy 33:8, that's when, Deuteronomy 33:8, that's when he talks to Levi. And it's one of the longest ones. And this shows you how the impression of Levi has changed since the Jacob's cursing. Now Moses is applauding Levi, so it's 8. And of Levi he said, let thy Thummim and Urim be with thy Holy One. Those were the things they used to tell what God's will was. They threw out the Thummim and the Urim. Whom thou didst test at Massah, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah. Who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children. They have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thine ordinances, and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee, and shall whole burnt offerings sacrifice upon thine altar. This is what Moses is saying. You are going to be the priests, and you're going to be the religious leaders of the Israelites. Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them who rise against him, and of them who hate him, that rise not against him. So he's praising, at this point Levi's getting praised by Moses, because Levi has done something to redeem himself. They go in separate branches from this point over. Levi, after what happens with Levi is in Exodus 32. Now go to Exodus 32. This is how Levi redeems himself. Exodus 32, which I never knew this before, how the tribe of Levi became the priests of. So, okay, so we're in, this is when Moses, in Exodus 32, Moses is on the mountain getting the commandments from God. Let me get to 32. He's on the mountain getting commandments of God.
Oh, yeah, I read this.
Right.
This is where he killed,
Right.
God told him to kill all of his
Right.
bloody dancers.
So when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, 32:1, they gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said to him, make us gods that shall go before us. For as this Moses, this man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we know not what has become of him, because he's been up on the mountain with God for 40 days and 40 nights. So Aaron, and I can never understand how Aaron got 2 passes. He got a pass here, and then he got a pass when he and Miriam challenged Moses. Miriam gets leprosy, and he's just standing there. And he gets to be the high priest. I don't get it. We've got to ask God about it. All right, so Aaron got the earrings and all that, and they made the golden calf. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. He built the altar for the calf. And Aaron made proclamation, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early and offered burnt offerings. So now, Moses is up on the mountain. 7, verse 7. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go get thee down, for thy people whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made a melted calf and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these are thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And I thought they didn't want to be out of the land of Egypt. It was milk and honey. But I mean,
why can't Aaron have said, no, I'm not going to do this?
He's a punk, obviously. Yeah, and how did he not get punished? I do get it.
Yeah, I don't know how God didn't let him get struck down with everybody else.
That was Moses' brother.
Right.
Yeah, so how could you not?
So Moses brought the Lord his God, and who doth thy wrath burn against thy people? And, and Moses turned, verse 15, and Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides, and the one written, and on one side and on the other side they were written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved upon the tables. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Great. That's my goodness. And when Joshua was with Moses. He went up on the mountain. I don't think he wasn't with, God and Moses, but he was waiting on Moses. And Joshua's a good guy. Yeah. And Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted. He said to Moses, there's a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them who sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as they got near unto the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger burned, and he cast the tables out of his hands and broke them beneath the mount. So God's work is done. And he took the calf which they had made, and burned it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and scattered it upon the waters, and made the children of Israel drink it. So he took the... How long did that take? This sounds like it was instantaneously, but it must have taken a while too. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did these people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my Lord burn. Thou knowest the people, and they are set on mischief. Yeah, well, why didn't you control them?
Yeah, right.
And they said unto us, Make us gods which they shall come before us. And on he's making excuses. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. So apparently there was pagan people running around through all this too, and Aaron had them get naked so they could be shamed. Aaron was having a bipolar day, I think. I don't know what was going on.
He pleased whoever was.
Right, you're right.
Two-faced.
Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses had said, Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, and he may bestow upon him a blessing this day. And it came to pass, then on the next day Moses said unto the people, You have sinned a great sin, and now I go up unto the Lord, perhaps I'll make atonement for your sin. So this is when Levi becomes the priestly tribe, because they instantly obeyed Moses and said that, and they're Levites. Moses is a Levite, Aaron's a Levite, and the Levites came instant to them, so they got rid of their shame from Jacob, and now they're the priestly tribe. So, and they're also, the commentaries give the example of Phinehas, which is in Numbers. Go to Numbers 25. Numbers 25. Phinehas is Levite, and he's a warrior. There's another Phinehas, which was Eli's son, who was not this one. He was a bad guy. So Numbers 25. Numbers 25. This is what, you probably heard this story before. It's kind of interesting, and not for the people that it happened to. Okay, we're at Baal Peor, and the people, we're during the wanderings, and they're turning into apostasy. 25, Numbers 25, 6 to 18. Okay. Oh, all right. 25:1. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit harlotry with the daughters of Moab. So now, this is an all too, remember the story of Balak and Balaam, that Balak wanted Balaam to curse the people of Israel, and he tried and God wouldn't let him, and tried 2 or 3 times and God wouldn't let him, so he said, we don't have to curse them, we'll send the Moab women into them, and they'll intermarry with the Moab women, and we'll accomplish the same thing. So this is happening. And the people began to commit harlotry with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat, and they bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, Take all the heads of the people, and hang them before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. So Moses got the people that were doing him and hung him in the sun. I think these people had enough of that. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, Slay every one of his men that was joined into Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So some of them are weeping before the tabernacle, apparently saying they're sorry for what's been going on. And then this guy comes in with his little Midianite babe and goes in front of everybody, goes into a tent and starts having sex with her. And it's interesting. Oh, well, okay. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through abdomen. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. So they went in just hunky-dory, and Phinehas was freaked out, went out and took a javelin and stabbed it through both of them and killed them both, obviously. And the plague, it stayed the plague because of all their adultery. God had sent a plague to Israel, and 24,000 people had been slain. And and those that died in the plague were 24,000. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, so he's a grandson of Aaron, hath turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, and I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, Behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God, and made an atonement for the children of Israel. Now the name of the Israelite who was slain, even who was slain with the Midianite women, was Zimri, the son of Salih, a prince of a chief house of the Simeonites. So it was a Simeonite that was doing this, keeping up their good reputation. They're bringing this woman into the camp in front of everybody and having sex with her, and it's a Levi who kills them. So there's we've had a parting of ways. The Levites have become holy to God, and the Simeonites just keep getting worse and worse. And the plague, when all this was happening at Bel Peor, that God sent a plague on the people, and a majority of them were Simeonites, because when the wandering started, the Simeonites, they did a first count, and at the beginning of the wanderings, the Simeonites had 59,000 some hundred people, and by the end of the wanderings, when they were ready to go into Canaan, there was only 22,000 left of the Simeonites. They've gone during that 40 years they didn't increase. They went from the 59,000 to the 22, and the commentaries say it was because a majority of those 24,000 that were killed during this were Simeonites, because they were leading the apostasy against God. So
they count the women too, right?
No. They just count the 20-year-olds and males and older, because they are the ones that could be part of the army, not the women. No. But the women were being naughty too, I'm quite sure. Back to when the Jewish commentaries were saying that Levi and Simeon were justified in their brutality. One of the commentaries said that was because rape of unmarried women during this time wasn't considered a capital crime. It was only an assault. So they did right. There was just an assault. So it was fine for them to kill all those men. So it just, I don't know how people can justify anything they want to justify. So and a lot of these commentaries, and kept saying too that God and Jacob were just fine with that. Read what Jacob said. You can't. All right, so Joshua 1 through 12 is the initial conquest of Canaan. Joshua 1 through 12. And chapter 1 through chapter 12 is the conquest of Canaan. And then Joshua 13 to 21 is the division of the land.
Okay, 1
through 12 is the conquest. And then 13 to 21 is how the land's divided among the tribes. And Joshua 19, Joshua 19. Joshua 19, 1 and 9 is what's 1 and 9. And
1 and 9 or 1
yeah,
through 9?
1 and 9.
And,
Tells about Simeon. 19, 1 and 9.
Sin?
Simeon. And the second lot came forth to Simeon, even for the tribe of the children of Simeon, according to their families. And their inheritance was within the inheritance of the children of Judah. So that's 19:1, and then 19:9. Out of the portion of the children of Judah was the inheritance of the children of Simeon. For the portion of the children of Judah was too much for them. Therefore the children of Simeon had their inheritance within the inheritance of them. So that's where Judah got theirs. They got 17 cities and the surrounding villages inside of Judah's. Simeon got 17 cities and the surrounding villages inside of Judah. And Judah was the southernmost. You can see on this. They're the southernmost of the tribes, and that's how Simeon got into the Negev, into the desert, where the the commentaries say it was a divided. Simeons had a divided in existence without centralized tribal organization. They were all over the place. They were traveling teachers, etc. And this was the prophecy of Jacob was fulfilled.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can Jewish people of today trace their heritage back?
It's hard because there's so
There's
much intermarrying, and I don't know if DNA testing can do it. I don't know. Because
That would be so
Erica was there and
interesting.
she wanted to find out, and I think there's just been so much intermarriage between the tribes. They didn't stay separate. That would be hard.
Okay.
Although, probably if you're Orthodox, you might be able to, because they probably stayed within their tribes, but non-Orthodox. Yes.
With what's happening in the Middle East, they're looking at this now. It seems like they're all one set of families who's fighting against each other.
You're right. All the Arabs are fighting against.
Yeah.
I think that they are pretty much one set, except for
Yes.
like the Orthodox. I think that they're separate. I think I told you the story. The first time I was in Israel, I stayed at this house of a Israeli, Hebrew Israelite woman and an American guy, and they were in an Orthodox Jewish area. And the Orthodox Jews would come by at night and throw burning Bibles on their lawn. They're nuts. The Orthodox Jews
Oh,
are
yeah.
oh my gosh. So yeah, and just so anti, because they think there's such apostasy in pagans. So, all right. Oh, this is another interesting in Jewish tradition, all poor Jews are Simeonites. So if you're getting out of the tribe, maybe you don't want to be in the tribe of Simeon. You can be poor. And
Because there are a lot of poor Jews
right.
today. And there's
Okay, now to Levi, Numbers 35, go to Numbers 35, 1 to 4. Numbers 35, 1 to 4. Yes. And that the Levites 48 cities. And the Lord spoke unto Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan near Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possessions, cities to dwell in. And ye shall give also unto the Levites pasture lands for the cities round about them. And the cities shall they have to dwell in, and the environs of them shall be for their cattle, and for their goods, and for all their beasts. And the pasture lands of the cities which ye shall give unto the Levites shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about. So God is saying the Levites get these 48 cities and the pasture lands around to support themselves and their animals. And also, tithes were used to support the Levites and the priests. Priests the most, but also the Levites, that they used the tithes that went into the tabernacle and temple to support them. Levites given a total of 48 cities with their suburbs. The cities were scattered throughout the territories of all the other tribes, and that's another Jacob's, what he said happened. They were scattered throughout all of Israel. I mean, they had their own little lands, but they not together. They were scattered apart, so they weren't together.
Well, he said that from way in the beginning.
Right. I'll divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So he was scattering. The Syrians got the worst deal into the Negev and nothing, but the Levites actually are the most benefited tribes because they're privileged. They're the most privileged of all the tribes. In Deuteronomy 10:9. Where Levi hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren. All right, Levi 10:9. This is what God is saying. Where Levi hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren, the Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord has promised him. So, okay, you don't get land, but your inheritance is the Lord. What could be better? And they're the most privileged. They're the representatives of all the other tribes before the God. The Levites represent all the rest of the tribes to God. They were the ones that carried the ark and did all the stuff with the tabernacle and temple, the holy place, how they lit the candles, how they went into the holy of holies, etc. This was all Levites. And from the family of Aaron. Okay, Aaron's part of the Levi tribe, and it's his family, not all the Levites, but just Aaron's family that became the priests. The rest of the Levites could be helpers in the tabernacle temple, carrying the ark, etc., but only the family of Aaron could be the priests, which was kind of shaky at times, like his sons. And both the priests and Levites were supported by the tithes. In Deuteronomy 18:1-5, it tells how the Levites were supposed to be taken care of.
Deuteronomy
18.
18?
Yes, 1-5.
1-5.
The Levitical priests, that is all the tribe of Levi, shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Lord made by fire and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among the brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he has said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them who offer a sacrifice, whether it be an ox or sheep, and they shall give unto the priest the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the stomach. The first fruit also of thy grain, of thy wine, and of thy oil, and the first of the fleece of thy sheep shalt thou give unto him. For the Lord thy God hath chosen him out of all the tribes to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. So they were supposed to support the Levites and the priests with the tithes and offerings. They were supposed to give them the first fruits of the oil and the fruit and everything else. That was what, and I think for the most part they did. That's one of the things they actually followed. So that way, and that's how the Levites were supported. I know. Here was what I was talking about. Those laws. It's Noahide laws. Noahidi was the laws that the Jewish commentary said that Shechem had violated because they didn't have courts of justice and nobody found Shechem guilty. So that was one of the reasons why.
Could you spell that again?
Noah, I-D-E,
I know.
the 7 Noahide laws, that was, okay, there's this is what this is, what Jewish people say in their, for an elaborate explanation regarding Jacob's view and the meaning of his admonishment of his son, see this thing. It is absolutely clear, based on numerous textual and midrashic inferences, that Jacob and God agreed that the act of Simeon and Levi was justified. Jacob took issue only with the manner in which their actions were done. And it is of the opinion, according to the universal 7 Noahide laws, Shechem and his nation were guilty of a capital crime for not fulfilling the 7th law of the Noahide code, establishing courts of law and a justice system. And this might be inferred from the words of Simeon and Levi themselves when they responded to their father's rebuke by saying, should our sister be treated like a harlot? Meaning, should we have allowed the rumor Shechem spread that Dinah is a harlot to go unanswered? There was nowhere in the Bible it said that it said Shechem loved her. You know, that he wanted to marry her. Not that he was running around saying she was a harlot. He wanted to, and it seemed to be happening pretty quickly. That this thing happened, and then he went to his father and said, I really love this girl. Get her for me for a wife. And that started the whole thing going. So
They say get her for me.
yeah. And we know what that means, don't we? Uh-huh. So, okay, I think that pretty much covers. Oh, he said their instruments of cruelty are their habitations. Habitation, these words that in Hebrew, habitations supposedly meant swords, that their habitations, that they used their swords to kill these people, and that they took the vessels, utensils, household goods that they'd gotten by violence and bad things, and cruel usage of the Shechemites. And the other thing that the Jewish commentators say why that they were justified, that nobody ever came after Jacob as he feared. That in fact, the whole area trembled when they were scared to death of Jacob and his family. I guess because the rumor of what happened and Shechem got, but nobody ever went after Jacob and his family, and they were scared of him. And the Jewish commentary says that shows you that there was justification, because if it hadn't been justified, the other pagans would have gone after him. You can read stuff. You know. Yes.
Aaron reminds me of David in a lot of ways, right? Because all the things he did,
You stand up.
and he stands up and God said, bless him, God order him, God land.
It makes him the high priest.
High priest. And
I think
What confuses me is the whole point of Aaron being there was he was supposed to be the mouthpiece for
He was supposed to be watching what was going on.
Right.
And I think basically it's just like when Moses begged for the whole Israelite people that God listened to him. I think that Moses was always begging for Aaron, you know.
Can I ask a question? I never understand why God didn't let Moses go to the promised land.
He disobeyed. And it was he disobeyed because he struck the rock. He said, speak to the rock and the water will come out. Moses was so angry with the people, which totally justified. They have put that man through hell. And he hit the rock. He didn't speak. He hit the rock, and he hit it twice. And he disobeyed God. And it wasn't just that. He showed such a bad, after all the years that he'd been, 40 years doing everything right, bad example to the people. And God said, can't do that. He was him
But
like
it
we
goes
always.
back to the point, being a teacher or a leader, you are
higher
held to a higher
standards.
standard.
God had him at the highest standards, and he expected him to
He
do
expected
it.
better from
And
him.
poor Moses, he went through hell and back with those
I
people.
feel
They were
bad.
crazy. You couldn't do anything for
The
them.
Israelite children was very rude, disobedient, and honest. And Moses struggled with them, yes, all that time, trying to get them to the place where, when he went up in the mountain, he left them in a good place. But when he went up there, Aaron, his brother, who was persuaded and deceived by all these other people around him, and he joined in with them to do all these abominable things, all these idols.
But he must have had a moment when he said, I can't be doing this, because when he made him get naked. Because that was before Moses came down the mountain. So he must have had
The point I'm trying to make about this this, is when Aaron stepped in, was because Moses was afraid he could not speak
Right, right.
to the pharaohs
He
and
knew he
everything.
could
So
speak.
God brought Aaron in, so you would think,
Yeah, because he
I'm
had a
kidding.
stuttering problem.
Yeah, supposedly, Moses, I think more of a fear didn't want to deal and do it. And Aaron was more, eloquent, and so he said, have Aaron do it. And I think Aaron wanted to do it, it's just Aaron wasn't the man, obviously.
that they thought he was.
Right. I think maybe Miriam was more of a man than Aaron was.
And Mary,
Yeah, you're right.
Can I ask who the commentaries are that say these things?
The Jewish commentaries, okay, one of them is Rishi to Nazareth. I don't know where you find it.
Different people?
See, what?
They're all different people.
Yeah, they're all different Jewish people that say this, but that it was pretty standard that they're saying a lot of the Jewish commentaries believe that Levi and Simeon were justified.
So there were Jewish commentaries?
Yes, the non-Jewish, there wasn't one non-Jewish commentary I came upon that said that they believed that they were justified. They went along with exactly what Jacob said, that you're out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And that because of this, you're gonna be punished, never have any of your own land in the promised land. And it was never clear, it's why the Levites got to be the tribe, but why did God all of a sudden decide, okay, we're gonna forgive them and let them be better, and not Simeon? I guess because Simeon never had a repentant heart.
No.
But he also wasn't of the tribe of Levi when Moses called him over. They should have smacked Aaron on the way over. Yeah. Okay, we're getting rid of him first. So I just can't understand that. That just absolutely amazes me about what God put up with Aaron. I mean, I
And he got
understand.
away with it. It just
Yeah,
amazes
yes,
me.
yes.
Poor Moses makes one mistake
And
and
he's out.
can't get in the
He's
promised
penalized
land.
forever. Now, I'm gonna say I'm glad that God has a more
Gracious.
gracious heart now for us. I'm bored now about that.
But that was one of the lessons too, that it kept saying it, that how God took the Levites back in was to show his mercy and grace, and probably if the
If they had shown
the
a same heart,
Simeonites
they
had
would've done
shown
the same
something, they probably could have gotten it too, but they just never showed any remorse or anything that they wanted to be closer to God that we know of. And I'm sure there's going to be Simeonites in heaven, so, but. In Sunday school last week, it's interesting. Look at back to the map. See on this side, on the right side of the Jordan, the east side of Jordan, where it says Ammon, Moab, and Edom. See those three? We learned in Sunday school Sunday that though during the tribulation, they're not going to be bothered. The Ammon and that's where it says they're going to flee to the hills. This is where the Hebrew people are going to flee to, because they're not, according to Revelation, they're not going to bother them there. And that's pagan. And Ammon, that's all those pagan from Lot's daughters. God just does what he wants to do, and we just say, thank you, Lord, that we're part of the thing. So
Marilyn, it is wonderful how you just bring these stories really to life.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
it.
It's so interesting, I'm telling you. It's hours and hours and hours, but it's so interesting.
I go home and rewrite everything and read it, and I was
Right.
like, yeah, okay. But you look at it different. You can read it. But when you
When you
put it in
study
this
it,
context, it's like,
right.
What gets you teach it.
Yep.
What gets me is that you got, for this answer, you gotta look somewhere else.
Right,
Yeah.
and keep dig.
And we get to go, and I learned so much about my Bible, just going to this place and back and forth. I love it. I'm learning my Bible.
All right, next week is Judah. We're going to finally get into a good one.
Now I understand more and more.